Tyler here, tylerbloyer.com. Just doing a video today, coming out of a hiatus of content creation after, a year or so of kind of disappearing off of my sites that I was managing, hosting, providing content updates with my activism work and different things that I had been up to in regards to kind of the freedom/truth movements. If you could catch a little eye roll there from me, it's because we'll get to that. Movements and how all that went and what came out of all that, and how things are still going. But basically what I've been up to is my family has been growing. Obviously having more children will tend to consume more time and resources from you, which is totally fine. I'm okay with that because it's been beautiful watching my young family grow and get started into a whole new path for all of us, and we're really excited and happy about that. And I personally am just so thankful for the things that have happened for me over the past 3 or 4 years, with the growth of my family and the development there, and the development of my career, as well as just life in general. As everyone knows, it's quite chaotic at times. It can get a little bit crazy, and things can happen that you didn't plan for, and you have to kind of step back and create a new plan of attack sometimes. And basically that's what I've been up to, is just strengthening my own health and my family and our plans and our way forward as we move through life. So I also have been building my website back up. As you'll see, I'll be promoting or sharing my content on tylerbloyer.com. That's different from websites I've had in the past. And also, it doesn't really matter what kind of social networks I'm on, and we'll kind of discuss that a little bit later, but really just tylerbloyer.com is what I've been, not necessarily that I've been spending the whole year building that up, but just repositioning my thoughts and ideas and my content, and trying to find a new outlet for things and build that up. So that's what I've been up to. And if you go back there, you'll see, my Within the Stones podcast, and you'll see also some interviews I was doing on what was called the Liberty Lifestyle podcast. I really enjoyed the work there, and I had a good learning experience and was able to interview some awesome people. And it's not that I have issues with any of the individuals personally that I had brought on the show or anything like that. But that is kind of, again, why I've also not been so active online, is because, as you kind of come out of, or as I kind of came out of the beliefs of statism, or, the religion of government, and kind of the indoctrination and the presuppositions and the ideas that come along with this worldview, you and myself, and I think others included, would seek out different ways of doing things, obviously, and better ways, maybe after a period of nihilism or a period of kind of destruction and deconstruction of the old worldviews and belief systems. We all tend to then seek out and replace those presuppositions and worldviews with the correct ones, or what we could perceive to be as more correct at that time. And for a lot of people, I think that ends up being libertarianism, voluntarism, anarchism. Maybe not everybody. A lot of people, it's Scientology, atheism, and that's what they end up pursuing after their Republican or Democrat or just overall statist kind of belief system. If you become more into the minarchist camp or libertarian type ideas, is what you'll fall into. And that was true for me, and not necessarily that I was a full-blown libertarian political anarchist, but the ideas of self-ownership and the non-aggression principle, and even unschooling, or kind of taking back the power and doing more homeschooling, these different ideas, even to the point of, well, does the non-aggression principle extend out to animals and experimenting there? with that philosophical viewpoint as well as lifestyle. And it's not that they're all 100% wrong, that these movements, what I'm building up to here is that there are issues within these movements, but it's not that 100% of the movement is false, or that everything, all the information within that movement is incorrect. But what you'll find is major contradictions and major issues that it doesn't seem like the people within the movements themselves are willing to pick up on, or willing to challenge and kind of address that there's an issue that needs to be. What you find more is that there more groupthink starts to happen. You have a lack of critical thinking of the philosophical starting points, or extrapolating those out into the larger debates about what the plan should be moving forward, whether it comes to economically or with education, or how to organize a community, or how to build a society. If we say taxation is theft, and free market economics. Well, what you'll find is that there'll be major contradictions that come along later with these claims, with these grand narrative claims. And again, what I really would like to do is not have someone just immediately say, well, he's a statist, look at the arguments that he's making, Tyler has gone completely statist. See, that's just part of the dialectic, and that's another issue with these movements, is that they're just dialectical oppositions to the state. And so your life and all your things are defined by the state, which is fictitious, right? As far as the libertarians claim, or the anarchists claim, that it's not real, and that it's not a real claim, the state, and that it's just criminality and slavery. Well, then why is your position, if it's just fake, in the dialectical opposition to that position? And always, everything that you say and do is always in opposition to the state, which you've just also deconstructed as not being real and something that's only a criminal organization. But yet, and I'm not saying like that's the end all be all of my argument right there that I just made. I'm just saying that there are contradictions and things, and to the point where it's like, why the label? Why not be an individual? Why not have your philosophy and try to keep grinding it out and making it consistent, and so that there aren't logical fallacies within your arguments and your worldview? Because, you get into the voluntarism crowd, for example, and the voluntarist will claim that all human interaction should be voluntary, which I can get on board with, and I can agree with that. But then the voluntarist, the vast overwhelming majority of voluntarists that I see out there also claim that the relationship with the state that they have is involuntary. But there are a number of things that they'll be doing that are completely keeping that alive, keeping the relationship they have with the state alive through the contracts, and through the different social security numbers, or birth certificates, or tax IDs, or different things that they're using that are the voluntary relationships that they're maintaining and upholding and keeping with the state. So the voluntarist, claims that their relationship with the state is involuntary, but most of the actions that they take every day are, maintaining the relationship they have with the state, which is completely voluntary. So it's not involuntary, the relationship this is a victimhood mentality. You do have the power to end that relationship, and what it comes down to is that we're too ignorant, myself included. We are too ignorant, and we are not brave enough to do what's necessary to end the relationship with the state. There's always this, well, it's under duress, and they're going to come and do harm to me if I take those actions. Well, that's still voluntary for you to take actions that would end the relationship that you have with this criminal cartel organization known as the state. You can voluntarily choose not to have that relationship anymore, or I could do things that would, I could go, take my citizenship off the books in the United States, right? And I could stop paying my taxes. I could be an agorist, and I could perform counter-economics, and I could get involved in cryptocurrency to the point where, all my wealth is completely obfuscated and no one could ever get to it to tax it. There's a lot of things that I could do that I don't see the voluntarists doing. I think they'd be busy doing those things rather than getting involved in movements, and mainly voluntarists online, or what I like to call the voluntary slaves. I mean, they're just enjoying their voluntary servitude. You know, they need to go read some Etienne de la Boete on the voluntary servitude, right? That's what it is. That's what voluntarism is, in the modern form, in the movement form. Not necessarily in the individual form or someone who's really living these ideals out. But even the ideals themselves, some of the principles, quote unquote, have issues. And so again, I'm not willing to ignore certain huge glaring issues within these different movements. I've provided a couple examples. I'm sure people could find issues with those arguments and debate against me. There'd probably be some name calling. I've already been kicked off some discussion groups online for bringing these points up, being told that I was just a statist and that my top-down authoritarian viewpoints wouldn't fly, and that's not at all what I'm saying. Or again, if you're in a cult, you're not willing to challenge your presuppositions. So when you're sitting in a group online and everyone's agreeing with everybody else and no one's challenging each other and no one's willing to challenge the presuppositions, the starting points, the logical fallacies, you know, that's when you know you're in the wrong place. That's when you found the wrong place to be, and you're probably the one doing that too. And your first reaction to somebody that comes along and shakes that up a little bit will be ad hominem attacks, straw man fallacies, gaslighting this person, and then slander and kicking them off the group. And that's exactly what happened to me multiple times for challenging these types of groups with their belief systems that end up being, largely just dead ends that don't lead to more freedom, don't lead to more prosperity, don't lead to ending the state, don't lead to more, what's happened. Look around at the movement, the result of all the movements. You could definitely point out some positive things, but really, Big Brother, the totalitarian state, the global government, is in full swing, and they're not, afraid of the anarcho-poco people down in Mexico. They're not challenging them because they're not, in on any kind of standing that's going to actually do anything to end the powers that shouldn't be. It's not just about economics. It's not just about Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies that are going to fix all of our problems. There's a lot more to it than that comes from a spiritual understanding, as well as, a lot more of people's behavior and psychological issues that are occurring within the human species and within the average person that are not being addressed. And Bitcoin doesn't address those issues, and you have to get to the causal factors of the reasons for why things are the way they are, not just band-aiding things with the economic shifts here and there into decentralized. You don't get decentralized economics when you're a slave in a world of slaves, in a world that's completely economically enslaved. And I'm not exaggerating. I mean, the IMF, the World Bank, the Bank of International Settlements, they make the Federal Reserve look like a Candyland game, that was played 100 years ago. It's evolved beyond that. They've already done it. It's over. They have the gold, the silver prices, manipulated. The stock market's under control. The quantitative easing out of control, mask that's just, masking this whole problem of what's going on. And cryptocurrencies are based on the dollar. It's not that I'm against them. Again, I can have issues with a movement, and I can have issues with the arguments in a movement. I myself love cryptocurrencies. I myself am involved with cryptocurrencies and blockchain technology. I think it's the future. I think that to fix the problems that a lot of the people pushing this stuff, especially in the anarcho-capitalist communities, want to fix, it's going to take a lot more than what, some of these people think. Even though they may become quite wealthy, and it might be quite a wild ride. And maybe I'm wrong. I'm not perfect either. But I think that to take our eye off the ball of the bigger picture and the root causal factors, which we can get into later in later work of mine, or not too distant future work, because that's what I'd like to start focusing on. Anyways, so I would like to request a debate of voluntarist. If anybody would like to come on my show, I can come on your show. We can have a formalized debate about some of these things. I've already kind of presented some of my position, as well as I will be doing over some future work that's coming out. So if anybody would like to have a formalized debate or discussion or a friendly conversation about this stuff, let me know. Or maybe you've seen some of the same issues I've seen. My website has a place to comment on the post if you'd like to leave some feedback about that. So the next thing I'd like to get into here today is my brain model, which is a useful tool that I'd like to kind of present here, because I'll be having this brought out more in the future on live shows or live interviews, or just provided as a research tool for others who'd like to kind of follow the breadcrumb trail that I've laid out. That'll be at tylerbloyer.com/brain, and you can access this now. There's not like an official place on the site where it's linked and there's a button, but eventually, as it becomes more refined and as I get more links that make more sense for the content that I'm presenting, the brain will have an official nice little place in the website. And let me get some water here. So this brain I got, from other researchers, Richard Andrew Grove, Jan Irvin from Logos Media, used to be Gnostic Media. I didn't get it from them. I discovered the brain software like they did, and I've built my own personal brain from scratch. They also use the software. It can be used for any number of things. I've used it for kind of alternative, my own personal research, like note-taking place, where I create links through the research that I'm doing, and then I document them there so that I have something, kind of cemented, permanent, that I can go back to and access from anywhere, really. It's really nice. And so for me, it's another tool to just use for memory and recognizing what I'm looking at and going back over it. And it's another tool, among other tools, including content creation, that I use to solidify this stuff in my own head so that I can become a better researcher, become a better archivist, which is another thing I've also been doing. Is I have quite an in-depth archive working on my own personal computer, where I download what I feel to be important content, important books, even in important whole libraries of people's content that I feel are really important to make permanent in my own little personal archive that I can carry through time, that I can pass down. Just in case, whatever happens, I still have got my own little arc of information, And there's other researchers out there that offer, large, vast amounts of information, and I'm not saying that that's something you shouldn't look at, but I'm building up my own personal archive. I already have a vast amount of information that if the internet were to go down, or if any of these people were to get completely, unpersoned, deplatformed, I would have a backup of their information. And that's already happened with people like, Michael Black has had some issues with his YouTube channel. It was really the only place where he was putting his content. I've got almost, I would say, like 99% of the videos that he had posted there on my own personal archive, which I've also shared on my page, End Slavery, on Facebook, on the Fedbook. On the Fedbooks, I have a meme page, or it's kind of an activism page called End Slavery, END Slavery, and you can go and like that, whatever. It's, to me, Facebook could go away and I wouldn't even care. I mean, they're so ridiculous with the stuff they've been up to, and since really they began, that I'm done with Facebook. I really could care less if it, just disappeared, or if I never go back to it. But I do have a page, people tag me in things, and I, get a little bit here and there going on Facebook. But I've been over on like minds.com, tried out Gab a little bit. I'm on Steemit, and again, just my own website is where I'll be putting stuff more in the future as I get back into publishing things more. So the brain model, check it out, use it, let me know what you think. Next, I'm just really excited about interplanetary file systems. I'm a big tech nerd. Partially the way that I earn my income, my Federal Reserve notes to live my life and do the things that I like to do, including this, is I'm involved with technology. I'll just leave it there. And in IT, I'm an IT tech nerd. And so IPFS and things like that get me excited. And it's a decentralized file addressing, content addressing system. It's a file system that's distributed peer-to-peer, that's decentralized. So if I host, let's say like a video, I can put it out on IPFS, and that will then become distributed across a peer-to-peer network of people who pin these files and make them available all the time, so that it can't be censored with just DNS. It can't just be taken down with WordPress. Somebody can't just come in and take your site down. People will maintain copies of your files for you. As long as it's popular content, it will be quickly available. That's a summary of it. I mean, I'm not like a developer for IPFS. I don't have every detail of the white paper memorized or something like that. But I'm going to be putting my content basically on IPFS and, creating my own little network of nodes to start playing around with it more to understand this protocol better, because I really do think, it's going to be one of the best tools in the battle for censorship online and keeping content available. It's not that I have anything radically groundbreaking that, Julian Assange WikiLeaks type material to be releasing on my website, but I will, be able to understand this technology. I will be able to make my content available in this way, and also help others. This is the most important part for me, is help others who are out there, more on the front line, to be able to say, oh no, bro, like I got your back, let's just get this figured out, we'll go in here and set all this up to make sure that your site is always available. Because I really think that's where the battle is at this point. It's not about privacy, although I'm really big on privacy and I'm super concerned about these matters and willing to do what it takes to protect myself online. Really the battle is in keeping information available so that there isn't a way to censor information that needs to be out there. That's the issue. Of course, there's all the nefarious things that will occur with these networks, and there's the malicious things that can occur with anything that we make technologically, tool-wise. They can always be used by bad actors. But the point is for the good people, for the white hats, for people like myself. No, I'm just kidding. Well, not really kidding, but we want to be able to make the content available at all times so that it's always available online and it cannot be taken down. And unless you were to EMP the whole planet and take down all the electricity, and even then, that's kind of the idea of the interplanetary file system, is to eventually have this be redundant across planets, so that the arrays would always be up, the nodes on the networks would always be sharing the content. Maybe I can get involved in the project in that way. Anyway, so really just tylerbloyer.com/subscribe if you want to follow my work is all you would really need to do. Drop in your email, and then I'll send you emails when I put out my posts. And again, it wouldn't matter if then I'm on BitChute or DTube or Minds or Steemit or Facebook or Twitter, whatever. Central emails seems to be the most, the easiest way to maintain over time and keeping things consistent. So future things I'll be working on are breaking down these movements, the voluntarists, the anarchists, the libertarian movements, the issues I've seen with these things, groupthink, how to resolve these issues. And, I kind of jokingly brought up my Facebook page anti-slavery, but really, that's the overall goal. And we're not talking about physical chains and whip slavery. And I'm not meaning to be offensive to any of that. It's about unslaving your mind. It's about ending slavery within your own mind. All the tyrannical subsystems, all the programs running that have not been put there by you, all the things that are going on that we're manifesting ourselves on this planet that could be resolved and make humanity much more prosperous, much more free and healthy, and just overall thriving, on this planet. And so it's not meant to be even like an anarcho-capitalist libertarian battle cry of ending the slavery of the state. It's more than that. It's a whole mental attitude towards the world, and breaking down the viruses and removing them and cleaning the mind, psychological cleansing, becoming free, truly free. And that's the only way to really fix all the problems that all these different people in the movements are trying to address, in my opinion. And I don't feel like I'm way off there. I feel like I'm a lot closer to the target than previously. Although I'm still on the journey, right? And we can't camp. Another issue with the movements and the libertarian truth freedom movements, quote unquote, all this crap, is that they are camping. They've stopped. They think they found the end of the journey, and they really haven't even started. And they haven't started to understand the more causal factors, the more natural law, causal issues that are really manifesting the conditions around us that these people would like to address. And they're very surface level hitting the target, and they're not going in depth enough. And so we're definitely going to break that down as we move forward. I may have some people on the show. We may do some live streaming, and depending on which app we land on, if that's DLive or something like that, something that can support it. For now, YouTube is going to be a place where videos are uploaded until we can kind of transition away. But I appreciate you for watching this. I know it was a little bit all over the place. We'll be putting out more, topic specific oriented content in the future. If you'd like me to come on your show and talk about any of these things, feel free to reach out. Tyler at tylerbloyer.com with any questions, comments, or anything you'd like to know about me or what we got going on over here. And that'll be it for today, folks. Again, I appreciate you watching. Thanks for spending the time with me, and have a good one.